I don't know, maybe I should have seen it coming. I knew my wife was spending a lot of time with her friend Audrey. I didn't like it. Audrey was divorced and, as far as I could tell, led a pretty wild life. She was always changing boyfriends. I couldn't keep track of them all, but I didn't really care. I didn't love her. Despite that, I never tried to come between her and my wife, Linda. Looking back, I think maybe that was a mistake. I don't know. All I know is that she played an important role in my wife breaking my heart. Linda and I had been married for 17 years. We had a 15-year-old daughter, Tanya. Our son, Clay, was 2 years younger. We lived like most families in the suburbs, I guess. Linda worked in a doctor's office, and I was a fairly successful computer salesman. We had a nice house, 2 nice cars, and a wonderful family life, at least in my opinion. The first sign that Linda didn't quite share my utopian view of the world came when I came home on Friday evening and found her and Audrey sitting at the kitchen table. Audrey looked smug, as usual, but Linda seemed a little troubled. It didn't take a genius to figure out that something was wrong. "Hi, honey," Linda said, standing up to kiss me. "Hi, honey," I replied, putting down my briefcase and hugging my beautiful wife. After the kiss, I glanced at Audrey and greeted her with a simple, "Hi." "I'm going upstairs to change," I said, picking up my briefcase. "Okay, dear. Would you like some coffee?" "Oh," she seemed to be searching for the right words. "Audrey and I want to talk to you when you get back." "About what?" I asked, thinking this wasn't the right time. Well, why don't you go upstairs and get changed, dear? I'll make you some coffee and we'll talk when you come down, okay?" I looked into her eyes, trying to catch some sign of what this meant. She was clearly worried about something. A chill ran down my spine when I looked back and saw the smirk on Audrey's face. Whatever these two were up to, I was sure I wasn't going to like it. As I climbed the stairs, my brain was working overtime. I ran through dozens of different scenarios in my head of what awaited me when I returned. However, none of them prepared me for what actually happened. It took me only a few minutes to change out of my suit and tie and into slacks and a polo shirt. When I returned to the kitchen, coffee was waiting for me on the table in front of my chair. Audrey was chatting away. It sounded like she was explaining something to my wife, but she was speaking almost in a whisper, and I couldn't hear her very well. They didn't even notice me until I was on the other side of the table. I sat down, took a sip of coffee, and looked at them. "Okay, what's going on? What does this all mean?" Linda hesitated and froze for a moment, not saying a word, until Audrey nudged her. "Go ahead," she said to my wife. "He loves you. He'll understand." Linda lowered her eyes, as if she couldn't look me in the face. "Honey, you know I love you very much, so please don't get me wrong, but, well, I want to go on a few dates with Audrey. Not all the time," she blurted out. "Just sometimes." I wasn't sure what she meant by dates. Whatever she meant, the answer was no. But I couldn't believe she was actually talking about sleeping with other men. I had to get some clarity. "What do you mean by dates? Are you talking about having sex with other men?" "Well, it doesn't mean she doesn't love you, Robert," Audrey interjected. I wanted to interrupt her and tell her I was talking to my wife, but I decided to let her finish. I knew this wasn't my wife's idea. It was clearly Audrey's doing, but I wanted to understand how she had managed to convince Linda to go with her. She continued, "It's just sex. It doesn't mean anything. We were talking, and she told me you're the only man she's ever been with. It's ridiculous, Robert. I'm sure you've had many more women. She needs to get out of the house and have some fun." I looked at my wife. "So sex with me isn't satisfying?" Linda finally looked at me. I tried to hide the pain on my face, but I don't think I did a very good job. "Honey, I didn't say that," Audrey replied, pulling Linda away again. "But men have different approaches. It's just variety, that's all. Many men love their wives so much that they let them go out and have a little fun. It doesn't mean anything, Robert. It's just sex." Hell, Linda and I talked about it and decided it would be fair to let you have a little fun too, if you want. I glanced back at Linda. I don't know if it was fear or regret, but it seemed to me that she was beginning to realize that this was a big mistake. I understand, I said firmly. I felt tears welling up in my eyes, but I was determined to hold them back. Audrey, could you stay here for a while? I want to discuss this in more detail when I get back, I said, getting up from the chair. Sure, she replied with a triumphant look on her face. I'm sure she thought she had me. Where are you going? Linda finally asked. I'll be back soon, I replied, but didn't answer her question. I entered my home office and closed the door. Since childhood, I have always taken life seriously. Oh, I don't mean that I don't like to have fun. I can have fun as well as anyone else and have a great sense of humor, but when it comes to serious matters, I believe in facing them head on. I struggled to hold back tears as I sat down at my computer and began typing a response to Linda's proposal. Dear Linda, I never thought that the woman I loved with all my heart for so many years could hurt me so much. But when you told me about your intention to have an extramarital affair, you broke my heart. I know that your friend Audrey is behind this, but your willingness to go along with her plan has already damaged our relationship and our marriage. To make my position on your alleged infidelity absolutely clear, I categorically state that I will consider any sexual relationship with a man or woman to be a betrayal and a violation of our marriage vows. For clarity, sexual relations include any physical act of a sexual nature, whether initiated by one partner or the other. If you ignore my feelings on this matter and continue your infidelity, the following will happen. 1. On Monday morning, I will immediately file for divorce. 2. I will contact our parents and everyone we know to inform them of our impending divorce and explain why I have done what I have done. 3. I will sit down with our children and explain to them the reasons for our divorce. 4. Until our divorce is final, I will stop at nothing to reveal the names of everyone you are seeing. If they are married, I will tell their wives. I will have no pity or sympathy for them or their families. Make sure they know this before you put them and their families in danger. 5. Once the divorce proceedings begin, there will be no turning back. We will always be connected through our children, but I will sever all emotional ties with you and start building a life without you. My dear, you have a choice. The consequences of following through on your threat to engage in sexual relations with other men are listed above. However, if you decide that you would prefer to continue this marriage, there will be certain conditions. As I have already stated, your admission of your intention to engage in extramarital relations has caused me more pain than I could ever have imagined. At this point, I do not know if I can forgive you or if our marriage can be saved, but I am willing to try, provided that you accept my conditions. They are as follows. 1. Immediately sever all ties with Audrey. Never contact her again for any reason. 2. Until I decide otherwise, you will move your belongings to the spare bedroom and sleep there. 3. You will make an appointment with a doctor and get tested for STDs. I will not even consider having sex with you until I am sure you are healthy. If any of the results come back positive, I will file for divorce immediately. 4. You will agree to install a GPS tracker in your car, to which I will have daily access, and you will answer all my questions about your whereabouts without any negative reaction. 5. You will agree to family therapy. If you agree to my terms, I will do everything in my power to forgive you, but it will take time and patience to rebuild my trust. Now you have to make a choice, my dear. I pray that you make the wise choice. This hurts, but I still love you with all my heart. Robert. When I finished, I heard Linda and Audrey talking. I knew they had moved from the kitchen to the couch in the living room. I wanted to hear what they were saying, but in the end it didn't matter. I had taken my position, and there would be no negotiations. I addressed the envelope and a copy of the letter to my parents, Linda's parents, and our family lawyer. I put each envelope in an envelope, sealed it, and put stamps on it. Then I made 2 more copies for my accomplices. I saw them both turn their heads toward me when they heard me leave the study. "I'll be right back," I said, heading for the front door. "I need to put something in the mailbox." "The mailbox?" my wife asked. "Can't that wait?" "We need to talk." I ran out of the house before she could finish her sentence. I went to the corner and mailed all 3 copies of my statement. A few minutes later, I returned. I walked over to the 2 women sitting on the couch and handed each of them a copy of my statement. "What's that?" Linda asked. "Did you think about what we talked about?" "Yes," I replied. "You are holding my thoughts on this matter in your hands. I wanted to put them down in black and white so there would be no misunderstanding." Both women cautiously began to unfold the letter. I watched Linda's face closely as she read. Her eyes immediately filled with tears. "You bastard!" Audrey screamed. "What kind of bastard are you? Let's go, Linda," she said, taking my wife by the arm. "Shut up," my wife yelled, pulling her arm away from Audrey. "He's my husband, and I love him. No one, including you, will call him names in my presence." The look of shock on Audrey's face was priceless. "Get out," my wife continued. "I want you out of my house and out of my life. I don't want to see or hear from you ever again. Ever!" Linda stood up and took Audrey by the arm. "This is goodbye, Audrey," she said, escorting her former friend to the door. "I mean it. I listened to you, and now my marriage is in jeopardy. Stay away from me," were her last words before she slammed the door in Audrey's face. She turned to me with tears streaming down her cheeks. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. Yes, I accept your demands and everything you say. I swear, Robert, I didn't do anything, but I'll gladly get tested for STDs. Just tell me that you'll forgive me eventually. I know it will take time, but I love you. I don't want a divorce. God, I can't even imagine my life without you." I said, "I'll try, Linda. I can't promise more than that. Except for one thing. If I catch you trying to satisfy your curiosity by standing in a room with a naked man, it's over." "I know," she replied sadly. "I know it will take time to convince you, but I don't want to be with anyone but you. Now I know that I never wanted this." That evening, I helped her move her things into the spare bedroom. For now, we told the kids that we had had a fight and would be sleeping in separate rooms until we calmed down. They were skeptical. I could see it in their faces, but they cautiously accepted our explanation. The next day, I went out and bought a GPS navigator for Linda's car. Without her knowledge, I also bought a device to record phone calls. It was a simple little gadget. All you had to do was plug it into any phone jack. When someone called or answered a call from any phone in the house, it recorded both sides of the conversation. When the connection was broken, the recording stopped. I installed it in my office and hid the device behind a filing cabinet, just in case. On Sunday, I installed the GPS in Linda's car and downloaded the software to my laptop. I was hopeful, but unsure about our future. Linda's job only required her to work 4 days a week. She had Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays off. Needless to say, I spent all day Monday at work monitoring the GPS signal. She left for the grocery store around 10, but the car never left the driveway. I was still very nervous and wanted to check the listening device. When I got home that evening, the kids were doing their homework at the kitchen table and Linda was cooking dinner. "Hi, honey," she said, running up to kiss me. I saw the disappointment in her eyes when I turned away from her. "Can we talk later after the kids are asleep?" she asked quietly. My heart started racing again. Had she changed her mind? "Yes," I replied, already feeling uncomfortable. After dinner, I spent some time with the kids, then announced that I had something to do and went into my study, closing the door behind me. I plugged my headphones into the voice recorder so no one could hear. My heart skipped a beat when I heard the first ring. It was Audrey. "Hello," my wife answered after the second ring. "Hi, friend. Is he at work? Can we talk?" "Audrey, didn't I make myself clear yesterday? I don't want to talk to you. You're not my friend anymore. Get that through your head." "Come on, Linda. Who knew Robert would react like that? I didn't want to ruin your marriage." "I don't care, Audrey. The first condition Robert said in his letter was that I had to end all contact with you, and I don't want to risk everything. If you try to contact me again, I'll tell everyone that you tried to ruin my marriage. I'm serious. I never want to talk to you again." That was the last I heard from her. My heart started racing again. Maybe we still have a chance, I thought. The next call was from her parents. Oh no, did they find out? "Hi," I heard Linda sigh. I think she thought it was Audrey again. "Linda, I just got a very strange letter from Robert. What does it all mean?" "Oh, hi, Mom. Yes, I made a very big mistake." "A mistake? Did you really tell Robert you were going to have an affair?" "Well, not exactly an affair. You know my friend Audrey? Well, Before she could continue, she heard her father's voice on the line. "Who is that? Are you talking to Linda? Give me the phone. Hello." "Hi, Dad," she replied in a trembling voice. "What the hell is wrong with you? Is this how we raised you, to cheat on your husband? How could you even think of such a thing? I'm ashamed of you. We're both ashamed of you." I could hear Linda sobbing as she tried to answer him. "I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I know I hurt you and Mom, and I definitely hurt Robert. I'm so sorry." I could hear her crying even harder. Her father could hear it too. It seemed to calm his anger a little. When he spoke again, his voice was a little calmer. "I don't understand what came over you, girl. I really hope you told him you would follow the rules he set." "Yes, Dad. I already broke up with Audrey. I told her I never want to talk to her again. I can't get tested for STDs where I work. I'd be too embarrassed. But I'll call the city clinic and get it done there. And I'll be the best wife a man could ever dream of, Dad. I know how lucky I am to have been given a second chance. Believe me, I won't waste it." They talked a little more. Then Mom picked up the phone again. When they finished talking, all three of them were crying. The most instructive call was from my mother, Linda. "Hi, Mom." "Linda, hi, honey. I'm so glad to hear from you. How are you? Obviously, you haven't gotten Robert's letter yet." "Letter?" "No, is everything okay?" my mother asked. "Well, what happened, Linda? What's going on? Are the kids okay? Did something happen to Robert?" I could hear the panic in my mother's voice. "No, Mom, the kids are fine. Robert is fine. Well, I did something really stupid and it ruined our marriage. Robert threatened to divorce me and—" "Divorce? What did you do?" I told him I wanted to see other men," she told my mother. "What? Why did you say that?" I don't know, Mom. It was stupid. I let my friend fill my head with nonsense. She's lonely and she's always seeing different men. She tells me all these stories about how she sleeps with them. She says that no two men do it the same way, that some are better than others, but they're all different. She made it sound like I was missing out on so much fun. She kept saying that I should go out and experience everything the world has to offer. She said she could introduce me to as many guys as I wanted, and we could go on 2 dates. She just talked, and like an idiot, I started listening to her after a while. "Linda, you're married, and she's single. That's a big difference." "I know," my wife replied. "But she introduced me to her friend, her married friend. Her name was Betty. She said her husband lets her date other men. She said he loves her so much that he wants her to have fun. After all, it's just sex. They got together and tried to convince me that Robert would do the same because he loved me. Deep down, I knew he would never do that. But somehow I followed their example. I couldn't stop thinking about how much it hurt him." The pain in my mother's voice was loud and clear. "Oh, Linda, how could you? she sobbed. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry." "What happened? Did he leave you? What about the children?" "No, he didn't leave me. He gave me an ultimatum. Either I break up with the girl who talked me into this and give up the idea of sleeping with anyone else, or we get a divorce. We're also going to marriage counseling." He sent a letter explaining our situation. It was sent to my parents, you, Mr. Anderson, and our lawyer. My parents already received it, but I thought it would take a day for you to get it. I heard my mom crying. "Linda, I don't know what to say. I never thought you could be so cruel. I hope Robert loves you as much as I think he does. If I had done something like that to Bryce, I would have run away." "I know, Mom," Linda cried again. "I promise I'll never hurt him again. I came so close to losing him, but I'll show him how sorry I am every day for the rest of my life. Please forgive me." Listening to them both cry, I was filled with tears, too. Around 10 o'clock, we put the kids to bed and sat down on the couch to talk. I still didn't know what we were going to talk about, but I could already see tears welling up in Linda's eyes. "I talked to our parents today. Mom and Dad got your letter." "Robert?" she said, trying to laugh. "Dad even read it. Actually," she said after a moment's thought, "everyone read it. Your mom and dad haven't gotten the letter yet, but I'm sure they'll get it tomorrow, so I called to soften the blow. I wish I had thought of that for my parents. Everyone is so hurt and disappointed in me. Why not? I'm disappointed in myself. I just want to say again how sorry I am." She wiped away her tears and continued. "And one more thing. Don't be angry, but I have to tell you. Audrey called too. She must have thought I was joking when I said we weren't friends anymore. Anyway, I told her again. I said that if she called again, I would tell everyone how she tried to ruin my marriage. She doesn't have many friends, and I don't think she's willing to risk losing the few she has, so I doubt she'll call again. Even though I knew everything, I was glad she told me about the calls. I took her hand, smiled, and thanked her for her honesty." The following week, Linda got tested for STDs. To be honest, I never believed she had actually cheated on me. If she had, I don't think Audrey would have been able to keep it from me. She would have let it slip. I know that HIV can remain dormant in the body for years before it manifests, but all the other tests came back negative, so after 3 months, I finally let Linda back into our bed. At first, our intimate relationship was awkward, but Linda was relentless and worked hard to get back what we once had. Even after everything finally got back to normal, she did everything I wanted and did it with enthusiasm. I think our intimate relationship is better today than it has ever been. Family therapy also helped. Audrey and her friend worked very hard with my wife. Our therapist made her repeat every conversation over and over again. Even Betty's husband got involved. From what she said, he did everything he could to convince her that he had allowed his wife to cheat because he loved her very much. He told Linda that any man who truly loves his wife should be able to put his jealousy aside to make her happy. I really think he was hoping to get into her pants himself someday. One of these days, I'm going to find that bastard and personally thank him for helping seduce my wife. It's been over a year since that fateful day, and although I haven't had the slightest reason to suspect her since then, I still track Linda's location with GPS from time to time. I also check her phone calls from time to time. Once the seed of mistrust has been sown, it's hard to get rid of. Next month, we will be celebrating her parents' 50th wedding anniversary. Looking back on what we've been through and where we are now, I'm almost certain that in 31 years and 3 months, we'll be doing the same thing.